that's often overlooked. Domestic violence. Domestic violence wears many tags. So QueenAfi, if you're listening, check it out. Domestic violence.
The recording has started.
The kids are crying. It's coming down like raindrops. It's a behavior we can't condone. It's breaking up our happy homes. Let's get it together. Talk about it and let them know that they're not alone. Young Motive is back with the topic of the day. It's a crucial situation that we all must pay more attention to. It's bringing families down. You know me, I know the truth, and I'ma spread it around. It usually happens at home behind closed doors, but it's spreading through high schools and college dorm floors. For the victim, it's like they got their head in the noose from all the scars of the physical and verbal abuse. Men do it to women, women do it to men. It's a cycle that happens over and over again. It's disturbing and far from bliss, and each and every child is emotionally affected by this. I think it's time we bring the dark to the light, to stop the 911 calls in the middle of the night. So I'm reaching out, and I hope it's worth my while. It's erasing the bond between man, woman, and child. Domestic violence, it has to stop. The kids are crying. It's coming down like raindrops. It's a behavior we can't condone.
Peace and love, everybody. We're going to get started in just a second. I'm trying to figure out why my presentation, figure out why the information is not showing up for us when I know it should. And don't forget, we are back in the classroom live again for another segment of Expert Education Corner. We're going to talk about an interesting dinner table conversation tonight. We're going to be talking about them serial killers. We're going to be talking about serial rapists tonight. We're going to be talking about what's another one I was talking about? Serial child abusers. And just like doing a review of what we're working with out here, because April is sexual abuse awareness month. So it's important that we get that message out there about those conversations. But today for the classroom, don't tune into so much of politics and all that. Chime more into what I would say, chime more into the word cereal. That's what I want us to focus, kind of zoom in on that word, because it really is a word that is out here taking our people for bad, because they are repeat offenders, or whether that's I should just say whether that's on paper or off paper. We're dealing with serial abusers, child abusers. We're dealing with serial rapists, and we're dealing with serial killers. And I wanted to go back a bit on what I want to say tonight, if that makes sense. So what I'm still trying to do is find what I'm supposed to be talking about. Y'all already know the technical difficulties be just blowing people. Y'all already know how it goes. Now, for whatever reason, the message that I'm trying to bring up don't want to come up. Go figure, please, so we can get this message out there about this conversation tonight, this dinner table conversation tonight. It is so important, and I highly recommend that we discuss it, because it's the umbrella topic of domestic violence. It's an umbrella topic of domestic violence. And why is it acting cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? I don't know. But I like to start myself on time and just be on time. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna improvise right now because it's not letting me do what I want to do. All right, until I can bring it up. Okay, so the dinner table tonight is about serial abusers, serial rapists, and serial. This is going to be just a review of the metropolitan area. So that might can take us out to New York and what's that, Baltimore, Philly, to discuss this topic. Then it's going to look like how the offenders go back and forth from state to state. That's what it's going to look like too, because the offenders they do things going to, you know, different states. They do things that cross the line, cross the other states, which is Maryland. As we know, DC, Maryland, and Virginia is very, you know what I mean, it's very close to very close in terms of state lines. That's what I want to say. Okay, they are very close in terms of state lines, right? DC, Maryland, and Virginia. They actually are all in that same quarter, right? Of the area. And so within that, you have it where your abuser could cross state lines and get to you or flee from you. If that makes sense. Especially for those of us who have protection orders and things of that sort. The abuser is not, 9 times out of 10, most abusers are not going to follow that protection order. So they will cross state lines to get to that victim. And that is something that we got to be mindful of when we're talking about helping victims of domestic violence, because we really want them to feel safe in their process of leaving, of trying to flee the relationship. We want them to feel safe. The chat line on YouTube is open if you want to chat to me on YouTube. You can do that. We are live on YouTube too. If you want to remain anonymous, of course, you can do that. You can definitely remain anonymous. I don't have no problem with that at all. So I was looking for. So let me get back to the message at hand. I'm feeling like I'm all over the place right now, but I'm trying to stay in you know, in the strict quarter of it all and get what I need up here on the screen for us tonight, the education, so we can have this good dinner table conversation, talking about what needs to be talked about. Sometimes we just don't know how to set that dinner table. Again, the dinner table can be used as a metaphor and be, you know, take it out on the road with you. You can take it to 7-Eleven with you and your spouse, you and your partner, you and your friends, you and your children. You can take it to various places on the college campuses. You know, we're talking about these topics, all right, because they are important at the end of the day, right? So I'm trying to share my screen, but it's giving me problems. It really is giving me problems, y'all. Look where I'm at. Not where I need to be, but here it goes right here. I hope y'all can see it. All right, so this is what we're talking about tonight. Again, the recap for all my brothers and sisters who are behind on the classroom today. All right, this is our recap right now. Our recap. So we talking about I hope y'all can see it. Somebody text me and let me know if you can see it. So serial abusers, serial rapists, and serial killers review of the Metropolitan area. April is Sexual Abuse Awareness Month. All right, the table of contents, serial abusers. That's what we're going to talk about first. Number 2, serial killers, serial rapists. We're going to talk about serial rapists first, then serial killers. So that's a little mixed up. Serial child abusers, child abuse in DC. The most prevalent reason for the entry into care was neglect. Physical abuse was the second highest reason for entry into foster care, while the third highest entry reason was parental substance use. And the same pattern was found in 2019. So as we can see in DC, they had the highest cases of neglect on their children. What does that look like though? Because that can look like many different things, you know, in terms of domestic violence. That can look like many different things. And I'm looking at my screen and I see that y'all can't see my screen again. My other screen that I have up here. This is wild today. I don't even know what's happening today, my brothers and my sisters. I really don't. Serial killers are just, serial child abusers are nothing to play with because they've offended multiple children in the family. And our friends and family members be knowing who they are, be knowing who the child abusers are in our family. But guess what? They sugarcoat it, sweep it under the rug, act like it's not there. It's not happening. Is that because your parents, you don't want to be bothered with the person who's going through this? Or is it because, you know, we sugarcoat it and this is how their predator is able to neglect their children anytime, you know, they deem necessary? Could that be it? Or is it a factor of what is it? Is the parent psychotic the reason you neglect your children? Because that could be a reason. I mean, because parents do have, there's a lot of parents with mental health issues. We know they have mental health issues. And it's just not a game to them about, you know, what they are experiencing. You know, so do we, is there something that, you know, that happens? Because I'm subject to say that it does happen. I didn't want to do all this and bring the PowerPoint up like this, but it's acting crazy, y'all. So I'm still trying to see, can I share it? It doesn't look like it says processing. Let's see if I can share it right here on the screen because I really want y'all to see what we're talking about like we normally do on this dinner table conversation. Things are acting really weird today. Technology just does what it want to do. It just does what it want to do. So I had to get that out of there. Because I'm still just trying to get it on the screen. This is wild. All I'm pushing is share my screen. Let me see if I can get it up here now. Allow. Let's see if I say allow. Will it just come up? There we go. Okay. All right, there we go. And it's gonna be still a little off because I don't know what Facebook called itself doing to me, but it's still acting crazy, family. And this is making my presentation all jumbled up and everything. It's just acting crazy. I don't know what to say. I just want to do class. That's it. All right, we're gonna move on into child abuse in Maryland. Nearly 64% were among Black non-Hispanic children, and 57% were among male children. Now, that 57% of child abuse among male children should tell us as parents that we need to be more diligent in protecting our sons and giving them a safe space to be able to talk about what some of the things that they may have experienced when it comes to what we say sexual abuse or physical abuse, all right, or neglect, experiencing those things. We got to be mindful of, making sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing in terms of our children and giving them that safe space that they need to be able to talk about something like domestic violence or like those feelings that, sometimes we be afraid to chime into those feelings with our male child. And, we tell them things like get over it and mean things that we should not even come out of our mouth when it involves our male children. Okay. We got to be more wise about our male children. Be like, we're just completely off when it comes to that male child. And they don't get a safe space a lot of times. So we got to do better with that population. All right. Our men and our young men. All right. Letting them feel what they need to feel. And, try to get some type of understanding on what they feel. Okay, but if we constantly going at them, then they're not going to be able to get to the brunt of what they're feeling. If we're constantly attacking them, children age 1 to 4 years old accounted for 62% of all reviewed child abuse or neglect deaths, the majority of which were sleep related. So the children died in their sleep. This is atrocious to me. Like this is just so crazy. Sleep related deaths among children was 197 cases. Between 2010 and 2019, they had 197 cases between that time. Baltimore City had the highest number of reviewed child deaths associated with child abuse or neglect during this time period with 175 cases. That our children are living in spaces that are really fatal, and it's not a safe space for our children. Some of these dinner tables are not a safe space for our children. And we still keep setting the table like it's all good, like it's okay. Like our children deserve this. Like I don't, and I won't never understand why is it like that for our children. I just will never understand it. Because I feel like the child is innocent. All right, let me go on over to Virginia. Virginia be on the hush hush. They don't want to talk about this stuff. But there was 170 cases valid reports of a suspected child abuse or neglect death that were responded to by local Department of Social Services, okay? This is an increase of 31 reports from 2020. As of 12/15/2021, 55 children died from abuse or neglect. 22 investigations were pending the final disposition as of 12/15/21. So guess what? Virginia is not a secret that neglect is going on there too. I feel like Virginia, and I love my Virginia people. Don't get it twisted. But I feel like Virginia is one of those states that I don't know if they in denial, if it's a state that's in denial or if it's a state who sugarcoats it with money, or if it's a state that just is not inclined to provide those resources and things, provide, because you got to do your reports. We can go out there and search the reports. They got to do them. But it's not like, okay, Virginia is saying, I got a workshop over here, I got a workshop over there, I got a workshop. We teaching our people about, child abuse. I don't see very many workshops or education in terms of where people can go and get education on some of what we're talking about tonight, especially when we talk about children dying due to neglect and physical abuse, children dying in their sleep. This is ridiculous. This is so outrageous to me. Like, I don't understand that part. And I'm sure some of y'all feel like me too. You just can't fathom that somebody would do that to a child. You just could never see that happening. You never saw it coming, type of thing. All adults must report child sexual abuse in the District of Columbia. DC expands their requirement to report this type of maltreatment in the district. It became law in July 2013. Mandated reporters are obligated to report, as always, but now all district residents ages 18 and older who suspect or know of certain types of sexual abuse of children must also notify the Metropolitan Police at 911. Or, of course, you can call their family services agency. Now, the thing that I appreciate about this is that everybody 18 and up need to report it. But what about our teen parents who be doing stuff to their children? Be putting their children in harm's way, and they be doing stuff to their children. So I feel like they still a parent, but they don't have to report it until they get 18. But I feel like they're a parent. So, should it be where, that person who 18 and under, so let's say between the age, our young girls have babies as young as 13 through 16. So 13 through 17. So should they be mandated to report that and be held accountable? Because we do have a lot of teen parents who do things to their children, sexual things to their children, and put them in jeopardy sexually. Sexual abuse includes sexual acts and behaviors with a child under 16 by an adult or a person at least 4 years older than the child. So if somebody is at least 4 years older than your child, it's going to be sexual abuse. So you got grown men and women fondling little boys. You got older teenagers fondling little children. So again, to my teenagers, what are we to do to report them? Because, nobody really don't want to report a teenager. We really don't, but should we? Do we? Y'all might help me out with that, but I don't know. I'm kind of stuck on that one too. Sex trafficking and prostitution of all manners are sexual abuse. All right. It is sexual abuse for an individual or business to recruit, entice, harbor, transport, or provide children under the age 18 to engage in commercial sex acts. So stop putting your children out there on the internet butt naked. Because guess what? The predator is on the other side of the computer, and he or she can lure your children into something that you'll never see them again. So we got to make sure that we are on top of what our children is posting and what we're posting as parents as it pertains to our children, what we are allowing to post. I told y'all I had that talk with my young men at Dunbar, and I told them to open their phones up. I told all 6 of my guys, and they open your phone up. I need to check your phone to make sure you don't have no pictures in your underwears and your muscles, your t-shirt off. You just looking way too sexy and you too young for that. You see what I mean? You know, they let me look through the phone a little bit. I ain't seen nothing that would have stuck out or be alarming to me. And that was on the humble. I caught them on the humble. I didn't even prepare for it or nothing. I caught them on the humble. And they was, you know, gave me a little glimpse of, you know, things that they're doing and pictures that they're doing. Because again, our young people send pictures too, and they get extorted, which is called like sex extortion. So that predator is saying, look, if you don't do such and such and such, I send this picture out, post you, all that kind of stuff. You see what I mean? So if our young people are sending pictures of their genitals, they could be sex extorted for that. So they got to do whatever. They might have to be trying to send cash apps and everything else to get the predator to chill out. The predator may say, look, I need you to meet me. And that's the only way I'll stop. I need you to come and meet up with me. How many of those cases are linked to that, and our children end up in sex trafficking rings, male and females, because they sent the wrong picture to the wrong person and got caught up, right? Penalties for failure to report. Any person over age 18 who knows or suspects that a child is being sexually abused in the District of Columbia but fails to report is subject to a civil fine up to $300. If you ask me, that's not enough, but okay. The penalties are more severe for mandated reporters who fail to report child sexual abuse, up to $1,000 criminal fine or imprisonment up to 180 days. Up to 180 days you can get as a mandated reporter, which could be myself, you know, the professionals that are in the field who know about doctors, what we call it, other mental health professionals, social workers, things of that, so police. So if they are not reporting this stuff, then they can face these penalties in DC. Training for mandated reporters. DC do have the training for mandated reporters that you can do. And it's free of charge if you are a DC professional. All right. Or if you work in DC, you know, I'm sure you can get this free too. It doesn't specify, but I'm just hoping, because everybody who works in the field is not from DC. We have, you know, people in Maryland, people in Virginia and abroad who some of them take the MARC train on down as far as New York to come down here and do stuff. So the training is free. So you just would have to go to the training website in order to, make sure you understand what the protocol is. They do have a phone number at 202-727-7978 if you want to get the training for mandated reporters in DC. All right. If you work in DC, if you're a resident of DC, I'm subject to say you can get this training. Okay. Let's go on to number 2, because we ain't got a lot of time. Serial rapists. Who are they? I found this interesting because we got cases right here. A serial rapist is a person who murders 2 or more people in separate events, usually for abnormal psychological gratification, thrill-seeking, attention, or financial gain. The FBI differentiates serial killers from mass murders or spree killing by the presence of a cooling off period between each victim. Oh my. So they watching the predators pattern of behavior right there. And that's how they determine or classify serial killers. All right. Good information. Serial killer between 2009 through 2023. John Raymond Carter is accused of attacking women starting as far back as 2009. So my brothers and sisters got you got unsolved cases and stuff like that. You got to make sure you chime in, because guess what? That could be your loved one. That could be your loved one who is going through this, or who family and friends who have been searching for, their family members' killer. And it was linked to, rapes back in that time period. The Northwest DC resident was arrested this week and charged in 2 cases. So this guy was just recently arrested in 2013, and he's been charged with the 2 murders. But who's to say he limited to? Because the FBI is saying that they spaced it out based off the pattern of behavior of that person. Okay, but I recommend we go back and check during those time periods to see if it is your loved one, if they were the victim of rape, and the case is still unsolved. Convicted rapist charged in sexual assaults of young girls in DC and Maryland. 11 years late, a Baltimore man who is serving a life sentence for rape has been charged in the sexual assaults of 2 young girls who were attacked inside of their homes in DC and Prince George's County, Maryland, 11 years ago, police say. Police in both jurisdictions said that DNA linked the assaults to Alfonso Owens. So this guy was recently convicted. Okay, so but we talking about 2011. So as friends and family, did we have somebody who had experienced that between, there we go talking about those lines, DC and Prince George's County? Is that you? Because if it is, or you feel like it is, you can call and petition or talk with a detective to find out, because I don't think Alfonso had only 2 victims. I don't. I think he had way more than 2 victims, but that's just all that they know about. Okay? Serial rapist, human trafficking, suspect, and victim demographics. Every year, millions of people are trafficked around the world, including our own neighborhoods in the District of Columbia. Human trafficking is the 2nd largest and fastest growing criminal industry in the world, the 2nd only to drug trafficking. And that came from the Attorney General office in Washington, D.C. And this is just heart and gut wrenching to think that human trafficking is the 2nd largest and fastest growing criminal industry in the world. This is truly heartbreaking when it reached the level of drug trafficking. Okay. And it's probably above. Okay. Individuals arrested or suspected of human trafficking in the district 2016 through 2020 were typically Black African-American males who are U.S. citizens between the ages of 25 and 39. Was that your boyfriend or your girlfriend? Or was that your family member? Are they missing? Do you have more information of if they could have ended up in a sex trafficking ring? Generally, these individuals were under investigation, arrested, or prosecuted for sex trafficking crimes. All right. Over the last 5 years, the FBI identified a total of 131 human trafficking victims, 6 of trafficking. All right. The FBI identified 100 of the 131 trafficking victims, 98 sex trafficking, and 5 labor trafficking victims. All right. And the wording here is specific, I guess, to, working inside the human trafficking field and where these numbers primarily go. Victims were primarily female, 101, with 2 victims gender unreported. 36 of the victims were under the age of 18 years old. followed by victims 18 through 24. Are you kidding me? That is our children leaving the computer or leaving from somewhere, being picked up, being kidnapped, and taken under the age of 18. And we have missing cases in DC, Maryland, and Virginia of children under the age of 18, never to be seen again. Never to be seen again. We talking about, we highlighting April as Sex Trafficking Awareness. We highlighting that today because this right here, this hurt. This hurt my heart. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I'm telling you right now, this right here hurts my heart. Real bad. Real bad. I could never imagine that this is taking place. And we not on top of our, is it us who are not on top of our job as parents or as loved ones? Is it us or no? Because once again, I'm still confused. I just don't understand. I was waiting for somebody to post something up here, but they not posting in the chat room with me, but they watching, I guess. I'm hurt. My feelings are hurt. I'm kind of stuck. For a minute, I'm literally kind of stuck. Because what do you say? What do you say? How do you talk about, like, how do you go on? For all of the parents out there who are missing their children under the age of 18 and they don't know where their children are at. What do we say to those parents? How do we get them the help that they need? I don't even know. I don't even know. And there are some parents who are suffering in secret who have not gotten the opportunity to even chime into that their child is missing. Because, you know, most parents don't want to believe their child is missing. Even though the law may have confirmed some things, you still don't want to believe that your child is missing. So I'm just not getting it. What am I not doing? What did I miss? Because I try not to miss too much when it comes to my young people, but this number is alarming to me. And I feel like I could have dropped the ball somewhere. How could I have protected a child at that time, you know, going through this? I don't know, family. I really don't know how I could have helped a child who was experiencing something like this. I don't know. I'm sitting here trying to figure that out because I don't know. Right? I mean, it's alarming. All right, let me get back to it. It just hurt my feelings for a minute, guys. I just had to take that moment and just say all of that because my feelings are hurt by all of this that we're talking about today. But it is a conversation that we got to talk about. We cannot be afraid to talk about it. You see, it's a must that we talk about these conversations. And yes, they're going to hurt. They're going to cut. They're going to feel, you're going to feel some type of way about it. There's no doubt in my mind. As parents, we're going to feel some kind of way about what is happening to our children. And at the end of the day, we just want the best for our children. See what I mean? But what is it though? What is it that we need to do? That just hurt my feelings, y'all. I'm a little bit all over the place, but just bear with me because I'm a little bit all over the place after that. I really am. All right, let me get back into it. The next age group, 36 of the victims were under the age of 18 years old, followed by victims 18 through 24 years old, right? 30 to 39-year-olds were victims. 25 to 29 years old, it was 8 victims. 40 to 49 years old, it was 3 victims. And 11 victims whose ages were unknown or not reported, whom were victims of labor. I'm just so hurt by this. I never want to think that, and I know y'all don't even, family. I know y'all with me 100% on this situation right here. But you never want to believe that your child under 18 has been, you never want to believe that any one of our age groups, okay, have gone missing. We just never want to believe that. So it's hurtful to know that these numbers do exist. You know, doing a review of the education and what we're working with out here in terms of this subject, in terms of this month, April being Sexual Abuse Awareness Month, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. And these are the things that we can't be afraid to talk about. I had to break that comment up and then put it back up there again. I'm going to put it back up there one more time because I'm working on my brothers and sisters on the anonymous call. Y'all bear with me because I'm working 2 different destinations here and trying to get that information out there for the people. I want us to get this information out there for the people. I want us to go out there and know that these numbers exist. And our babies get caught up all up into this stuff. And they are afraid. They are scared. They don't know who they can trust. They cry. They somewhere crying, wishing they can get back to their family. Sisters and brothers, my scholars, I love y'all, but family, this hurt. This hurts. This hurt me. This is hurting me. This is literally hurting me to utter that these age groups are out there and have gotten caught up with human trafficking. Good God Almighty, help us, Lord. I just feel like praying. I just feel like praying, right? Let me say a prayer. Lord God, help us today, Jesus. These age groups, Father, in the sex trafficking ring, Lord God. Help us today, Father. Let this message penetrate somebody, Lord God, who's out there watching and listening, Father God. We got to take back our children, our loved ones who have gotten caught up in the human traffic. This is not a subject, Lord God, that we can play with, Lord God. Please, to our parents out there who are crying and to our family members who are crying because they may suspect that their loved ones are in a human trafficking situation, God. Please, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we pray this mighty prayer. Amen. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Y'all, I'm serious. Like, I don't know how y'all feel, but I'm going to find out in a minute. Because we probably got some students who want to chime in. Let's go into the serial killers. The serial killers, who are they? All right. Freeway phantom serial killer in the 1970s, 1971 to 72, Southeast DC was terrorized by a string of brutal murders. 6 Black girls ages 10 to 18 were kidnapped, killed, and left on I-295, the Anacostia Freeway, that if you in the city or near the city have crossed this highway, and we are crossing a highway where Black girls ages 10 to 18 were kidnapped and killed and left on the side of the road of 295. We drive that highway. I know my parents was driving the highway when I was younger in the 80s. I know some of y'all feel the same way. The whole time the freeway phantom murders was going on. They soon became known as the freeway phantom murders. Y'all, I want us to think about 295. I want us to think about 295, that highway. 295. Family. We be going over 295, don't we? My My heart is overwhelmed over it. I should not have done this tonight. I really should not have done this tonight. I should not have done this tonight. The freeway phantom serial killer. This is a real person who existed in this time. With the help of Jenkins, a former homicide detective who reopened the case, has been able to shed some new light on the gruesome events. The case is not solved, but the detective is exploring new evidence being produced. So the murders of the girls, the 6 girls, is not even solved. Their parents and loved ones and families didn't even get no justice up until now. And I can tell you right now, my brother was born in 71, so he 50. So these girls could be a little bit older than him. And the parents still have no justice. Are you serious? Like, DC, what is going on? Like, we are not solving enough cases to get our hurting families the help and support that they need. It's a lot of our hurting families who are dealing with this. Yes, my sister, the word culture is so destructive. Yes, it is. Come on now, we not even, this is sickening to me. My father was coming across the highway. My mom was coming. My grandma lived across the highway. I still go over my grandma's house. My auntie's over there. Family over there that crossed 295 going into Virginia. I got family going back that way. We be crossing this highway. I'm saying no. So do we want to continue to cross the highway? Because I'm scared. Cross 295. I don't know. Woo, I'm trying to tell you, this is deep for me today. I should not have done this to myself and to my students out there. Beltway snipers in 2002. Y'all know about this. 10 people have been randomly gunned down and 3 critically injured while going about their everyday lives, mowing the lawn, pumping gas, shopping, reading a book. Among the victims was one of our own FBI intelligence analyst, Linda Franklin. Now I saw that one, who was felled by a single bullet while leaving a home improvement store in Virginia with her husband. And she was an FBI agent and died because of John and Malvo, the Beltway snipers killer. And this one here, the city, everybody was on edge with this one here because guess what? We was all trying to figure out if we was next. So it was chaos everywhere because we was all trying to figure out where we next. And I mean, who was the chief? Moon, I think his name was, something like that. He was determined to bring down John and Malvo. He was determined to bring justice to it. And he did. Thank God for him. Thank God for him. Dr. Kakai said, sis, we had to protect our communities. We do. We definitely do. We definitely do. The Beltway snipers, 2002, that was serious business right there when that happened. I was crying. I was frantic. I did not understand. I still don't understand. And then you and Malvo get found in the car asleep. Like, really? While people out here losing their lives, y'all could sleep? Because I'm trying to tell you, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole DMV was in an uproar because we was trying to find out if we were going to be next. Do you not know we still had to go to work and the city still had to operate? I would never understand that. I don't understand why it wasn't no lockdown then. When you got random snipers around here taking people, the city should have been, the DMV should have been locked down. I mean, and then you got your first responders though, who we do need on the front line. No disrespect to my first responders who work this stuff in 2002. I love all of y'all. I'm trying to tell every single one of y'all, especially for that police chief. I think his name is Moon, who got these two off the street. And Malvo is he is one of the youngest serial killers in the DMV. Okay. And I went out there searching for young serial killers. He's one of the youngest ones. All right. Let me keep on moving because this here gonna get a little deep for us tonight. All right. We might run a tad bit over, but we're gonna get it together tonight. Students, I got y'all if y'all gonna chime in. Charles Moose was his name. Charles Moose was his name, who helped us bring down Malvo and John. Brought them down. Thank you for that, students. See how the students, see, we in this together. That's why I love y'all so much. That's why I love y'all so much. Because we be in this thing together. When we be doing our little work, our little classes and stuff, y'all be keeping the teacher on point. I'm trying to tell you, because this topic is getting to me. I don't know if it's getting to y'all, but Chris, I'm definitely going to talk to you about this. Shopping cart killer 2021. Anthony Robinson, who they have dubbed the shopping cart killer. And greetings to everybody who is joining us. We are having our dinner table conversation tonight. April is Sexual Abuse Awareness Month. So I wanted to talk about serial abusers, serial rapists, and serial killers this month. Okay, and really chime into this topic because we got to understand what's around us. And my children at Dunbar prompted me to have this because we were talking about sexual predators being in their school. I told y'all. And I asked the young girls, is it any of them in here? And one young girl said yes. She felt like if she would have been lured, if he could have really gotten her to physically lure her, he would have raped her. We was talking about in the school. So imagine the vicinity around Dunbar High School in Washington, D.C. How many sexual predators are there? Like, this is why I wanted to bring this topic for my babies. Shopping cart killer 2021. This guy, okay, so what he does is meets his victims on dating websites, like I told y'all, allegedly lures them into motels where he then kills them and transport their bodies in shopping carts. Fairfax County Police Chief Kevin Davis said during a press conference, police identified victims as Elizabeth Redmond, 54 years old, of Harrisonburg, and Larice Smith, 39, of Charlottesville. Police said Robinson was arrested as the result of video surveillance and cell phone records connecting him to both of the cases. So that's how they was able to connect with the shopping cart. Who rides around with a dead body in the shopping cart? Jesus Christ. I feel like praying again, y'all. For real. I feel like praying. I'm going to be praying the entire time through this because I just cannot. This is so heavy for me. The shopping cart kills. I mean, just take a moment and let your brain just rationalize what we talking about here tonight at the dinner table conversation. The shopping cart killer. So imagine if that was our baby or our family member or our loved one. Brothers and sisters, what? Because again, I can't. I just can't. And Dr. Kakai said, that's right, sister. They are right among us. They are. They are right here in our vicinity. And let me tell you something. You can't say what color they are. You can't say what shape they are. You can't say what size they are. Because the predators could be anyone. It could be anyone. And we saw that from the child abuse numbers to the sex trafficking. They could be, anyone can be the abuser, that serial killer, that person who is that serial rapist. It could be man or woman. There's not a lot of cases on women. Of course, my girl Eileen, she killed 6 men on her prostitution spree. She killed 6 men. But that was, throughout Florida. That wasn't around here in the DC area. We talking about the metropolitan area. We talking about what we do here every single day. And our children out here in this world. And we still got to give them freedom because they say, look, that ain't my story. What's happening? What you talking about? That ain't happening to me. Why should my life stop because this is happening? Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, I'm over here shocked. I'm still over here shocked. I can't. Give me a second, brothers and sisters. Give me a second. I got to take a second. Give me a second, brothers and sisters. Please. Give me a second. I can't. I had to let the children know, Lord have mercy on me on these interesting conversations. Okay. So back to the message at hand, because I'm still floored about what we talking about. Who pushes somebody that they killed in a shopping cart? I don't know no one who has done it, but apparently in the metropolitan area, we had the shopping cart killer. All right, let me move forward. What's next? Incognito. The definition of incognito, that's what one of the students, one of our scholars said, the definition of incognito. Lord, the DC Mansion murders. Who know about that one in 2015? The DC Mansion murders. What happened in this case? 2015 murder of 3 family members and their housekeeper in Washington, D.C. I remember this one too. Amy, her husband and her son and their housekeeper were killed in May 2015 in the family's multi-million-dollar home in an elite neighborhood in the nation's capital. I remember that one too. Because what stuck out to me was that it was financially driven. We do in DC, we do have people that, are very wealthy in the DMV. We have that. And people will prey on that. The predators will prey on that. And they came in, and this guy, he was a black guy, and he robbed this family. He definitely did in 2015. Yes, he was trying to lure the money from them. He was trying to, he didn't even want the jury. He sat there in their house with him, ate pizza and all that. That's how the FBI was able to find him. He ordered food and everything while he was torturing. He killed that little 10-year-old first. He killed the 10-year-old first. And then he set the room on fire after he killed him. Then he went downstairs and did what he did to the mother and father, and then tried to get whatever he could get. He was hungry. In the midst of killing somebody, you hungry. He was hungry. His stomach was growling. Get this. His stomach was growling while he was committing murder. Are you serious? Excuse me? Honey, they said he ordered a pizza. And act like it was nothing. It was nothing. And these people lost their lives. Darren Went was convicted on charges of murder, kidnapping, burglary, extortion, arson, and theft. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. Of course, he got life after life after life after life. He got 4 or 5 life sentences for it. All right. Let's talk about the street serial violence. Those killers in DC. The number one person gonna stick out is Wayne Silk Perry. He the first one. 1980 to 1990, Wayne Perry was out here having a field day, killing people because he was a DC hitman. Wow. Do y'all understand? Do y'all understand the magnitude of what was going on in these 70s and 80s times? Do y'all understand, my brothers and my sisters? This is wild. This is wild. I never would think. But Wayne Perry was one of those guys who would take an order, get paid, and kill you. Wayne Perry was considered one of the most notorious gangsters to run the streets of Washington, D.C. in the late 80s and early 90s. Do we consider him a serial killer? I think we do, because the ruthless, calculating, dangerous are just a few of the adjectives attached to his name. He was a professional headhunter, and police said Perry killed witnesses, disloyal gang members. We don't have gangs in D.C., but whatever. This is what they got to say. Disloyal gang members and rival drug dealers. According to the indictment, Perry was the main orchestrator of and shooter in 8 murders from 1989 to 1991. The notorious Wayne Silk Perry. And he was much older than me. For some reason, I don't know why I keep thinking he was my same age, but this guy was older than me. He was back there with my mother and father and then was coming up and stuff. I think he might be, a little younger than my parents or a little younger than my aunt, or he may be around the same age as my aunties, which is like, they like 58, 59. Maybe he's, somewhere beneath. Let's move forward to the stick-up kid in 1988 to 1999. Shelton Shorty Pop Watkins. Who know about him? I heard about him. I never knew him. I never got in his way. I think he might have died by the time I came off the porch, for real, for real. I was going to see Junkyard, though, and he was a part of that band. He was one of the lead singers of the Junkyard band, if you're familiar with Junkyard. He was one of those lead singers. And he was known for being a hitman in Washington, D.C. as well. Okay. Let me move forward to the triple slaying in Northeast, 1991. Police arrested 2 suspects in a 25-year-old case. Okay. They was arrested in 2016. Police have charged Michael Green, 44, of Northeast Washington, D.C., and Benito Valdez, 45, of Arlington, Virginia, with the first-degree murder while on. The 1991 killings occurred April 23rd in a park in the 1800 block of Franklin Street, Northeast. That is now the Chuck Brown Memorial Park, is where these murders took place. Residents reported hearing a volley of shots and found bodies hours later on a grassy slope, face down and lined up side by side. Jesus Christ. So when you go to Langdon Park has a hill, and it's like a slope. It really is like a slope. When we was young, it snowed. We take our sleigh boards out there and sleigh down that slope, because their slope is so tall, right? And that's where the bodies was laying in. Lord have mercy. We be having Chuck Brown Day over there, and 3 people was lined up side by side and shot and killed. For what reason? They didn't even say. I believe this case was supposed to have been over crack at the time, because we do know that crack is a substance that is cocaine. It's pure as white. It's cocaine, but you rock it up, you cook it and rock it up with the baking soda, and then it turns into that rock. And so this case was supposedly linked to that. And this is why these 3 people died. And one of them was a woman, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. This is, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just about to open up and see, do any of our students want to chime in? I know y'all on YouTube, and y'all chiming in on YouTube through the chat. I appreciate y'all so much for being in the classroom tonight. But this is serious, what we talking about in our own area. We not talking about no other state. We talking about the metropolitan area. And it could have took us as far as New York and Philly and Jersey. But I say, you know what? We'll be here all night trying to cover this. This will have to be a part 2 for us, because this is serious. What's happening in these cases and what is surrounding us. And there's a lot of serial killers in D.C. that are linked to street violence who are still alive. And some of those guys are being released from prison because they've done the 30 years or the 25 to life. They've done it. So there's a lot of them that are coming home. There's a lot of them that was unjustly sentenced at the time who are home. So you have that part of it too, you know. And we want to give everybody to try to, you know, get a second chance at life. So that's where that piece comes in. But it's a lot of them that are still alive that are linked to street violence, serial killing. All right. I'm gonna say it's serial killing because the FBI say you kill more than 2 people. You are what? Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm coming to a close on this piece here, y'all. I'm coming to a close. I'm gonna talk about this last one. And that's going to be it for us on this one tonight. A review of serial. So performing a series of similar acts over a period of time. And as we can see, each one of those cases happened over time. Okay? A period of time is the serial part of it all. All right? Motivation and types. Over the past 20 years, law enforcement and experts from a number of varying disciplines have attempted to identify specific motivations for serial abusers, rapists, and killers to apply those motivations to different typologies developed for classifying serial. All right. All serial murders are not sexually based. All of them are not sexually based, which is facts. We saw that. We saw that with the different categories that we're dealing with tonight in the classroom. Casualties of serial. All right, so casualties can be defined as a complex process based on biology, social, and environmental factors. In addition to these factors, individuals have the ability to choose to engage in certain behaviors. There is no genetic template for a serial child abuser, rapist, or serial killer, and they are not limited to any specific demographic group, such as their sex, age, race, or religion. All right. So basically, the research is backing me up that it can be any one of us that could be a serial killer. Any one of us it can happen to. You can't pinpoint it and say. Again, and we read earlier that they base the serial aspect of it all on the gap between the crimes, the gap in between, you know, the times of that person killing somebody. All right. So which means you might kill somebody, you know, 25 years later, but you haven't killed since then. Does that make you a serial killer? See what I mean? So that's how they base some of it as well when we're talking about the casualties. Okay. Thank you so much for being in the classroom tonight. I'm so grateful y'all are here. Chris, what's going on? What happened, Chris? You heard something tonight? Chris Bond. What you find out tonight? What did you find out?
I mean, you know, I was just listening, and one thing I realized is that everybody that serial something has a mental health problem. And that's normally what's not addressed.
You feel like
you know, from Leroy Malvo, from the shopping car. I mean, come on, the shopping car killer. You gotta have an issue. You put some bodies around in the shopping car.
Right.
You kidding me? Incognito. I mean, a lot of bums use shopping cars, so I can get away with that. But it's the mental health aspect that's never addressed when these situations finally come to light. The freeway phantom. You know, I was a little kid when he was active, but because I'm from DC and I make sure I keep abreast of my DC history, good and bad, I'm familiar with these people.
Right.
The Starbucks murderer. I mean, yeah, it's a mental health thing. And we need to attack that while they're young and have processes in place while they're young so they won't grow up being against serial killers, serial rapists, serial this and serial that.
Yeah.
You know, I remember a couple of years ago, I was managing the McDonald's. It was in Atlanta. It was in Decatur, Georgia. And this guy walked in with this little girl. The little girl, I don't know, looked about 10. But she was dressed like she was 16, 17.
Ooh,
and I called my wife. And she said, well, why don't you call the police? He might be trafficking her. I said, I'm thinking that. But at the same time, it could just be, you know, something that I'm reading too much into. And I don't want to put a good man on the spotlight.
Right.
And so I never did nothing about it. But at the same time, and, you know, we laugh at this, but I remember Chris Rock once said, if you meet a girl that looks 16 and she tells you she's 20, she's 12.
Right. Right.
And so these are the things we got to keep in mind while we out here moving about in these streets, man. You know, like you said in your message, we don't know what these people look like.
Right.
We have no idea what these people look like. You could have sat beside one on the bus today.
Yeah.
You could, if you were a Lyft driver, you could have gave a lift to a person that just finished dissing the body in the woods.
Most definitely.
You know, but I've learned, you know, and you were in DC, man, think back 10 years ago, they found a body on Branch Avenue at the intersection of Branch Avenue and M Street, right around by Fort DuPont Park. That, you know, I went to see my grandmama, and my uncle was talking to me about this smell coming from the woods. And I'm thinking it's a dead skunk, dead squirrel, dead deer. And I said, well, let's go take a look. And he pointed to the area where the smell coming from. I walk up in there, it's a dead body.
No.
I can't remember the girl's name. Her name was Tia, I think.
Oh, wow.
But she was well known in that part of DC for prostituting in the park. And somebody must have tricked her one night, and that wasn't the trick that she was hoping for.
Right, right.
But again, if you out here buying hookers, you got a mental health issue or some type of addiction. So again, we need to have processes in place and things to attack this while kids younger. You can pretty much, I ain't gonna say you can tell your kid gonna be a murderer when they little, because you can't. Right. You know, I don't think Wayne Perry parents saw that in his future. I don't think Rachel Edmonds' parents saw that in his future. I don't think the shopping car killer or Leroy Malvo parents saw that in his future. Right. But they grow up and something misaligns in the brain, and now I got to do this. And that's not normal behavior. You know that's not normal behavior. Right. I ain't never shot nobody, but I've been in a lot of fights. And when I beat the brakes off you, I was done. I was like, dang, I ain't had to do it that hard.
Right, right. You felt remorse.
You know? I mean, I ain't say I felt remorse. At some point, I felt remorse. Not right afterwards, but, you know, when you looking at a dude, you done knocked out a tooth, blacked the eye, broke your jaw, you like, dang. All he did was say hi to my little sister. All he did was talk to my girl at the bus stop. And it could have been just a random conversation. I ain't saying he was even trying to get none. He might have just been asking her what the time was. Right. And I saw him talking to my girl, so I went hard on him. Something wasn't right in my head at the moment.
Right.
Because if something was right in my head, I would have said, hey, what's this about?
Right.
I wouldn't have just jumped to the conclusion and block, boom.
Right, right.
You know, so again, you know, we got to be in touch with what's going on around us and what's going on inside of us.
Right.
And if we pay close attention to those elements, then I think we can produce a better society. But you know, if you're a mother that's working 3 jobs and you live in a drug-affected community and you never home, what you think your kids gonna do?
Right. What you think?
All their friends drug dealers. If all my friends drug dealers, I'm gonna be a drug dealer. Right. That's why all my friends are entrepreneurs. All my friends are advocates. All my friends are legitimate people. Yeah. All my friends are keynote speakers. That's why I am the way I am now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But had my mother surrounded me by different people growing up, I would have been this way a long time ago.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a mental health thing. It's an imbalance somewhere that we got lost at, and we just either stopped caring as parents. I mean, your daughter was on the platform with us sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, she knew right from wrong, but yet and still, you know, look what happened. You know, and that wasn't your plan for your daughter. My mama plan for me wasn't, my son grew up and beat up on women. She didn't groom me to do that.
Right.
You didn't, you know, so it can happen in any situation. But if we put ourselves in the right position in life, we can do our best to prevent it.
That's true. That's true. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Chris Bonds, always here with us. We got a full day on Thursday. We're going to be back doing our stuff that we do for the abuser side education. But, you know, tonight was just simply amazing. I know I had one other student one scholar who was going to call in, Dr. Kakai. You got to call in on that number that I just put out there, so we can hear you speak about it. Let me say this though. When we want to dive a little deeper into it, we know that CODIS and DNA work very closely together now. The forensic sciences have played a key role in criminal investigations for many years. Recently, there have been an increase in attention on the forensic science by law enforcement, prosecutors, and the general public. So just keep that in mind. CODIS is still up and running. It's still a thing, but of course, it's developing more and more over time. Dr. Kakai, you going to speak? Thank you for chiming in.
Yes, ma'am. And I just want to thank you as always, you know, for what you're doing. You're one of the major voices that we have in our community that speaks truth to these issues that we're dealing with on both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
As you know, you come up on Sundays where we do our free treatment and lectures. I go upstairs and I now talk to the young guys who we see on the TV that got the murders and the carjacking and so forth. And the last 4 or 5 weekends I've been going up there, we know they've gotten younger. The other day I said, well, how old are you, man? He says 16, you know, and majority of them already know that they're going to be going to jail and they will not see daylight because they got all, violent crimes. And it's about 4 or 5 units. And then we have the 10-year-olds that are there, the little kids that are there. You have the young girls that are there.
Yeah.
And the conditions are getting worse there because the behavior of our young people has gotten worse and it's generational. So I spoke with the young guys the other day. I said, you all don't even know how you all got here. They can't read. They can't write. They don't know cursor. They know nothing about anything except what they watch and what they see. We already know. So for the last 3 or 4 decades, we can clearly see the results of all the negative energy, all of the tutoring that was done by the negative adults in our community that you were talking about. And it's been passed down. They've gotten it. Now you have young people that have no understanding about what they're doing and are actively involved in taking people's lives and doing things. We gave them the street code. One of the things on the street code says no stabbing, fighting, or killing. The young brother told me, he said, Doc, you lost your mind. What are you talking about? I said, no. We got to defend ourselves and all of that. I said, I'm talking about the principle and the unprincipled killing and stabbing and so forth. So they're not even thinking the other side, that there's another side to the concept of self-defense. Yeah, self-defense is just a normal thing in terms of somebody trying to kill you, you kill them, you know, kind of thing. So they don't even understand those concepts. So I explained to them that they are the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren of folk like me who in the 60s was shooting heroin. And we had children. Those children had children. And remember, it's centralized in a specific community, the Black community, and mostly the poor Black community, the projects, the housing, you know, et cetera. So these generational things have been passed on since the 1960s When heroin hit, here we come PCP, here we come cocaine, here we got heroin, cocaine, PC, K2, ecstasy, we got over-the-counter drugs, the alcohol, now we got fentanyl, and all these other things that are going on. And the parents became worse and worse and didn't make it, were in jail, were murdered. So these kids that are out here now don't even have grandparents because the grandparents pass it on to the parents that are their parents and their grandparents. So these young people are those people. And we have to be able to explain that to them. They have no idea that that's how they got it. They think that what's happening in present day in our community has always been that way. Wow. So I gave them a whole history. And the last thing I shared with them was that if we look at 50 major cities, and we know we got 100, we know we got 300, we know we got 500 plus major cities in America where you have deep Black populations and small populations. In those places, I'm recording that there are 1 or 2 murders of young people under the age of 18. So we have, on the minimum, daily 500 young men and women being murdered across the country. But multiply that 100 times because this is what's going on in the little backwood Black towns, in New Orleans and Atlanta, etc. Because I travel to these places and I get the information, what's going on in Detroit, so it's the exact same thing, family. So in winding up, we have to get to the young people.
Ooh, thank you so much for that. That is powerful. See, every time the doctor speak, you got to listen. That's what I'm saying, because he's going to come with the wisdom. He's going to give us facts because you hands-on. Like he said, he hands-on with the community, young people in the DC area that are experiencing this and don't know their history. That's another thing what makes DNA so very important, and why I teach my DNA class is because they don't know that their bloodline can go around the sun 600 times. Our bloodline can go around the sun 600 times. When I teach that, they be having no clue about what I'm talking about until they engage in a dialogue. And they be shocked that even cabbage has DNA. Like even dogs got DNA. Dogs have solved cases. Cats have solved. A cat named Snow was one of the first cats to solve a DNA case from an animal. Okay? So they don't, like Dr. Kakai said, they don't be known. They think what's happening today was what was happening back then. And it's just unfortunate. It's really, really unfortunate. Dang. Which brings me to my last interesting case as I close out. This one I thought was very interesting because guess what? Intruder kills Dr. Hilberstein, Sam. I think I'm saying his name right, but I'm going to say Dr. H. On December the 5th, 1980, one of its most tragic and strangest cases in DC came to end when a cardiologist, Dr. Michael H., was shot during a botched burglary at his home. Bleeding heavily, the doctor jumped in his car and ran over his fleeing assailant before dying on the operating table at Sibley Hospital. Right at Sibley Hospital in Washington, D.C., the doctor ran over the person who was coming to kill him, okay? And he made it to the hospital. He made it to Sibley Hospital, okay? In reality, he was an escaped convict named Bernard Welch, right? The person that killed, that was fleeing, his name was Bernard Welch, who was one of the most prolific burglars in American history. A one-man crime wave who lived a double life in the DC area for years. Get out of here. Go to town on me. Because this case right here, I've never heard about this case. Never heard about this case. So this case was really interesting to me to know that the street violence even extended not just to hitmen, but to burglaries. And Dr. H and his wife was coming home from someplace. And they walked in on this. And this guy, he robbed DC houses for millions of dollars in jewelry and antiques. And I mean, his house was full. Him and his wife, or him and his girlfriend, would travel to take the stuff to another state. There we go with the trafficking again. Take the items to another state that they had, and they would sell it from there to, you know, prominent people. This guy had money, and he had been robbing people in DC for years. Bernard Welch. Get out of here, go to town on with it, students. We have learned so much here tonight in our session. I'm so grateful everybody was here. We ran a little over. I had technical difficulties, but overall, our conversation tonight was very enlightening, very amazing, to the point where I'm extremely emotional. And I cannot believe what we've heard here today. And I do apologize. Our point, you know, the education didn't come up, but we still did our dinner table education. We still did our talk. So we still completed the mission. The devil is a liar. And we're going to move forward like that. Okay. I thank y'all for chiming in. Don't forget to hug somebody, love somebody, because you never know what they're going through. You never know what they're going through. If somebody needs resources, you know, for domestic violence, there's that 1-800-799-SAFE hotline that they could call in secret. If you know that sexual abuse is being done to children, you are mandated, obligated to report those cases, especially when you are a government employee in the social service field and all of those fields, you know, we talk about social workers and stuff. Yes. Okay. Mental health professionals, counselors, our psychiatric staff, all of us are mandated to report it. All right. So listen, thank y'all so much. The message is going to go out on record, of course, so you'll be able to send that to your friends and family about this interesting conversation we've had tonight about serial abusers, serial child abusers, serial rapists, serial killers, serial street violence.
If you think it could be
killers,
serious, ask me to call him.
And Siri is trying to talk for me. Serial street violence killers that we talked about tonight. So peace and love, my brothers and sisters. Thank you for chiming in tonight. Go in peace and love. Thank you for chiming in tonight. Peace and love, my brothers and sisters.
How's your daughter supposed to look up to dad? Don't you know that you're the first male role model she's ever had? The saying goes, a woman wants a man like a father. So what you telling her? To accept this from a man, you gotta watch how you talk to whoever you with. Words hurt, people forgive, but never forget. I guess it's up to a team to teach these things. It's just my expression of how YMCs sting. Seek a shelter from mayhem, they won't doubt you. And there's all types of programs to reach out to. No need to feel ashamed, cause it's not your fault. And this evil way of living has to come to a halt.
Yeah,
It has to stop. The kids are crying.